The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're planning for buying or selling a home, the real estate crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us on the real. You were wondering if I was going to get that up.
Real Estate House
Real
Party.
Estate House Party.
Nah,
You're wondering.
you got that down, man.
And we also have John Ternullo from The Leading Edge with us today, and we got a lot of real estate questions
Always
and random
do.
thoughts.
We
This is going to be
always
random
have
thoughts.
random thoughts.
Sure. You just
We have runaway thoughts.
you've just described the inside of my head perfectly.
I'm glad I'm not alone, Tony.
Yeah, no.
You actually had an octopus joke last night. We won't go over it again, but
I can't tell the octopus
No,
joke on
but
this,
you were
it's a good joke.
you were pulling stuff out of everywhere.
How do you bring up an octopus joke and
No,
then you
I
can't
was just
swallow it?
looking at him.
No, I
know.
haven't. I didn't hear the joke.
I've
didn't
never heard an
either.
octopus joke before, and Tony came up with one last
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not airworthy.
No, it's pretty funny, but
Pretty funny. There's an F-bomb in it.
yeah, there's an F-bomb, so
Yeah.
we'll do it. Maybe we'll
Well,
go.
here's the
Is there a
key.
clean
Here's the no, it wouldn't be funny. No, it'd just be a story then.
Like the crab.
Yeah. Right. It's gotta have.
Nothing's like the crab story.
Well, here's the thing. This will be the tease. There's an octopus joke. If you ever bump into me,
Ask?
I like
ask
that.
and I'll tell you.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll ask you after the show.
After the show.
Maybe on December 27th when you're named
On-
Comedian of the Year.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
maybe we'll tell it then.
John, if you're
Okay.
around, Tony V's going to be
Comedian of the Year.
Comedian of the Year.
I didn't get an
Congratulations,
invite.
Tony.
John
You're
just got
next.
one.
Kathy Holtshouser's.
John got one before me?
You don't
Does
even
she look a little
no.
stressed out today?
Yes, because you don't need.
We're
going
going to talk about stress today.
You don't need an invite anyway.
Oh, good, okay.
You
Yeah.
just
I just show up.
You show up.
Hey, listen, guys. We got to talk about something very serious that's been on my mind,
Uh-oh.
and it's on everybody's.
Is it the octopus joke? I thought we were moving on from that.
No. And this is just a very important thing.
PSA announcement?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on Facebook, and if you see it on Facebook, it's probably true, right?
Of course.
All the time.
Sure.
No, but I believe this story to be true because they had all kinds of like real facts.
Yeah.
So there was a husband and a wife in the Midwest that sold their house to buy their dream house, and when they sold their house, they got like $123,000 from the sale of their house. But somehow they had a use and occupancy, so they got to stay in the house waiting for their other house to be built or
Okay.
finished or whatever. So there was like a 2-week lag. So he gets an email from his title company that's doing the closing on his new home saying, wire me your $123,000, his entire life savings, right, or whatever, for your purchase. And he was so excited. It's supposed to be the most important, the craziest, happiest week of his life. It's Christmas and whatnot.
I can always feel this
he
is
wired
This
the
is
money.
not going well.
This is gonna go south
He,
quick.
guys, I want to cry. He wired the money, and then the next day he got a call or an email from the
closing
title
attorney.
real title company,
Right.
telling him that he needs to get a bank check for $123,000. And he said, "Well, I already wired you the money.
Oh.
Gone.
It's
That money's
gone. It's gone." He and the poor guy, he's like, "I've ruined my life. I've ruined my family's life. I don't know what I'm going to do." And you know what I mean? It's real. That's a
So when this first started happening, a few years ago, we were, someone emailed us, and it was a rookie move. We saw right through it. But I did call the FBI, and I said to the FBI, "Would you like to know about this?" Because they actually said, here's the account number to deposit the money to. I mean, it was pretty sophomore.
And what tipped you off? It was just done poorly?
Yeah, because we weren't dealing with those people.
I see.
It was some sort of stray email. This one was an obvious one. They've now since getting very professional. But my point is, at that point, the FBI says, well, how much money did you lose? I go, well, we didn't lose any money, but I thought you'd want to know. He goes, we have so many calls now, forget it. So to update it, I've had a couple closing attorneys. They've lost. One lost $200,000, one lost $300,000. They called the FBI and said, "Is it under $1 million? Because we can't even help you now because we're getting so many situations."
And the
This
thing
has become
is,
a commonplace now.
yeah, and the accounts get closed. They get the $123,000.
And
They take the money. They close the account, and they're gone.
Right.
There's no trace of it.
Where are they?
Cayman Islands, or I don't know where they
Right.
are. Who knows where they are? But
Are they hiring?
I know.
Are they-
I know.
I think they're
I
right
don't
near
know.
the
It seems like a good
Bunker
business.
Hill in Charlestown.
Yeah, it's a good business. It's a good
so-
business model. I like it.
So my serious point is, like, John, when he's talking to buyers as a real estate agent, you know, when you're making the connection to our attorney's office and you can give them the scenario, at the very end of this, you're going to need to get a bank check to buy your house, and the attorney's never going to ask you for a wire. You're never, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's
you're thinking of even
proactive.
putting it on your emails.
In fact, it is on my email right
Yeah.
now. In
But
my
who
email folder,
reads
I'm a
all
real-
those
But that's what
things?
I'm,
Yeah.
that's what, it's on the email, but I suspect a lot of people don't read.
It should be your letterhead. It should be in
I
bold,
agree.
bold letters above everything else. We will never ask you to wire money. You need a bank check, and then go into your stuff.
Right.
Because
Right.
You're right.
this might be the most the best piece of information ever given out by us.
Yeah.
Well, and it's very, very scary. Like,
Of
when I
course,
was
it's your
reading
life
it
savings.
as just a normal person scrolling through Facebook,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is so horrible for this family.
Right.
And this is just one instance of it happening.
And they have no recourse. There's
But-
no
but
no clause that gets their money back.
Well,
It's
who
just-
knows? The
Right.
banking, I don't
Depends
know.
on if anyone was negligent, any of the professionals involved were negligent on the process.
Right.
But I think the
insurance-
person in this scenario that was negligent was the buyer.
Right.
Right. He wasn't paying attention to
Right.
who he was
Who's
who he
sending
was
the money
And
to
then
the-
what happens?
Right.
you know?
Right.
Right.
But
If he did it on his own and it just
But
is
the
gone.
scammers are so
They're good.
sophisticated
Yeah.
that it looks like it's coming from our Carter at Carter Closings.
Right.
And then they put r.carter at
So
carterclosings.com.
it changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We.
Well, buyer beware.
Huge buyer beware right now.
Why was she looking at her
We got a
clock?
lot of stressful things going on at our
Did
office.
your heart rate just go up there?
Yeah, to like 120.
Anything good going on? Or anything bad? Oh, God.
Did you get some sort of a notice on you?
Yeah,
On your
on
Dick
our little
Tracy restaurant
scenario.
Is it bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have.
Thank you very much.
And the show must go on.
Oh, God. All
So
right.
anyway, so
All
guys,
right.
nobody should be wiring to anybody if they don't know firsthand
Right.
who's asking for it, and they need to re-verify
Right.
the account information. And you never should email wiring information, account numbers and
right.
routing numbers, and just
Deal with people.
yes.
And
it's-
just as a safety precaution, could we just try and avoid wires altogether?
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
try.
When
Right.
possible.
We're gonna
What-
try.
What would seem like we're dealing with this kind of money, you know what I mean? You'd want certainty. You know, if it's out there, it's just out there.
Right.
You know?
Now I have a cashier check problem, though, where the banker was just telling me about this. He had a,
Oh, jeez.
I know. His client came in, and I guess the guy's a scam artist. He just didn't know it. Went into a local bank, asked for a cashier's check. He was buying a car up in northern part of New Hampshire from a private individual. Brought a $38,000 cashier's check from the bank. But a couple hours later, went back to the bank, said he lost the cashier's check. Well, let's put a hold on it. I said, all right, let's put a hold on it. But he brought the original cashier's check up to the individual to buy the car, gave him the cashier's check, and
Took the car.
took the car. And then they found out the cashier's check had a
Had a hold on, got
stop
stopped.
payment on it.
Right.
So now we can't trust that. Now, might have to go back to the old days, just pure cash.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
Right.
Meet him back at the CVS
Well,
with a bag of
in
cash.
this day and age, the reason we do wires was because, I mean, we've been in this so long. Why we never did wires, but everything has to be instantaneous. Like, everything needs to be like done now. Like, and that's why the wires are so popular.
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Sure.
You sell a house and bang, your money's in your account. Like they should, you know what I mean? Like we should be able to give them a check
Right.
and they, deposit it and go through the normal channels.
Right.
I know we kid about no one uses cash anymore.
Right.
You know,
I do.
No.
You do?
Not to buy a house, but
That's no. You're
no,
right. You're right.
I use cash. My kids buy coffee with their debit card.
Everybody does that now.
But they don't know how to balance their checkbook. That would annoy me.
Cash
$2, $2,
that's
$2.
what's for you. That's for you to do, not them.
I know. I'm not doing it.
That's
They
what-
don't even know how to write a
That's
check.
what mothers do. Are you kidding me? Kids just drink coffee.
No. I was a good mother. And they should know how to balance their checkbook, but
John Ternullo, what's new out there in the leading edge in the real estate world? So we get the holiday season, so not a lot of activity now as far as listings and things like that. People just don't want to deal with that as much now, or
Well, seasonally, we have gone down a little bit, and the numbers show that the numbers are somewhat in line with what they've been over the past few years. And
Yeah.
that seasonally things do dip. However, experts are predicting that we are entering into a new real estate market.
okay.
And that we're going to start to see that multiple offer situations aren't going to be the norm, that they're going
Yeah.
to be the exception.
Wow.
And
Interesting.
sellers that
More normal.
and sellers that decide to challenge the market with high price tags and decide not to prep their home, buyers of today may just reject those homes altogether. So we're
not as competitive.
not as competitive. So we're going to start to see longer market times, and price reductions are going to start to become a thing of what's
Yep.
normal in today's
You're
new
not
market.
going to get overbids.
Well, prices, most experts will say that we are not entering into a bubble or anything like that,
Right.
and that we're not in a bubble. And prices should still continue to rise, but the acceleration of those prices will will be a little bit more normal as opposed to,
It's an adjustment, as they say.
a little bit of an adjustment.
Let me ask you a question. So I actually think that kind of market is good for the buyers and the sellers. Like, so now the buyers don't have to get rid of their financing contingency clause
Sure.
or their home inspection. It's almost back to a even playing ground as opposed to what it was like this summer.
Yeah, I mean, there are pockets, definitely nationwide, and even here in Massachusetts, there are pockets where it is a buyer's market. But overall, it's still a seller's market, and it may remain to be a seller's market, but just not to the extreme that it has been over the past few years. So for buyers out there, it's a great time because competition is less fierce. There's more available homes for sale, and historically speaking, I mean, we're seeing that interest rates are still low.
Right.
So you're going to get it from all potential sellers. My neighbor got $1.2 million.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah. So why am I only getting 1.15?
Different market.
It's a new
we
market.
know
That was the old market.
Right.
Right.
And now we may
They didn't pull the trigger in July, so
Right.
Exactly.
Just for the record, I've never balanced a checkbook in my life. Did you know that?
No.
Never.
That's-
And people always say to me, how do you know when you run out of money? I go, oh, they'll tell you. Someone's going to mention it to you.
Do you use the ATM machine
Yeah.
to help you out figuring out what monies you have in there?
Yeah, I look and I go, oh, apparently I don't have any of this.
But then we had to explain to our kids, even if your ATM balance says whatever
Whatever it is,
and you
yeah.
wrote a check for $1,000,
Right.
you don't really have $1,300 in there. You only have
Look at
$300.
look at Tony thinking about this.
Yeah.
Well, you could just bounce the check like that guy did in New Hampshire, right?
Sure, right. It's stop payment on everything. Sure. Put a hold on it.
Well, bouncing a check, isn't that a felony?
It's a felony. So
Yeah.
Is it really?
You're not supposed to do that.
On purpose.
Well, they didn't, on purpose or on accident. It's,
yeah.
Really?
Maybe that's what everyone should, for the holiday season, have some games with the kids and learn how to balance their checkbooks.
Yes, that sounds like a merry festive Christmas time.
That's exactly what you want to do on Christmas Eve.
Come on,
Balance
kids,
checkbooks.
let's sit around the fire and
Everyone
all
sit
learn
down.
how to
All right,
balance a checkbook.
I got another game for
I'll bring the
kids.
eggnog.
I got another game for the kids. Callie waiting 17 more minutes and she's here's another little fun game for the kids.
Good.
All right?
Yeah.
John Ternullo, you might like this one. So I want you to bring two kids together and say, listen, I have 10 $1 bills. All right? 10 $1
I'm
bills.
with you.
If you guys agree on the amounts, you'll get it. If you don't agree, neither one of you get anything.
I say.
So
if you agree on the split,
On a
Agree on the
split,
split.
5 and 5, we'll say.
we're
How many
5 and
kids?
5.
Or
or
two
8 and
kids.
2, 7 and 3.
2 times
No,
5.
just two kids for now.
Just two
Yeah.
kids.
Two kids.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, if someone said, I'll take $7, I'm going to give Tony 3,
Yeah.
would you go with the deal?
No.
Okay. Most people wouldn't.
No.
Where are you going with this, Ricardo?
It's
I
all
told
in
you it was
the-
random thoughts today.
So I have a question. So is there a time limit on this proposal?
Right, do we negotiate?
I
do
like
we,
that.
Do we have like 10 seconds, or is it a one-shot
Right.
deal?
But the thing is, why would one kid get more than the other kid?
It's the art of negotiation I think he's talking
That's
about.
Well,
well
I
ahead
would
with
think that
that.
the fairest thing would be 5 and 5.
5 and 5. That's
Well,
the only thing
that's
I
the
would
point.
agree
But what if one kid says, "All right,"
I
or
want
the guy
7.
says, "I'm going to give you 7."
Then they're not going to get anything.
with. Right. So, well,
Now, why would they not get anything? Because
Because you're going to
then
come
they get
to it.
0.
They're going to get right.
Well,
Zero.
the kid
So
who
is-
gets $3 says no to that, right?
right.
Because he says
Then the kid that's getting the 7 says, "Well, look, it's either going to be 3 or nothing."
right.
and
Right.
is 3 and is
3 better than nothing?
better than nothing?
Right.
But studies show, most people agree with you,
What?
if they feel like they're being abused,
They'd rather take nothing.
they'd rather take nothing.
Right, they walk away with their pride and
Right,
whatever.
right, exactly.
I would just
Or-
go with the 7-3 and then beat the
Yeah.
kid up.
Jump them afterwards. Yeah.
I'm not
And
sure if
steal
that
his
was
money.
part of it.
Now you got it all.
There's always an exception to the rule.
So, no, we've always... it was
Oh,
a
so
little bit,
I know where you're going.
yeah, so a little bit of a segue with negotiations there. So it's just different ways to think about it. Do you ever see the not negotiation was when they used to throw it off? I don't see this as much anymore. Someone would put on their ad, we'll take between $330 and $375.
Value range pricing. Yeah,
Okay.
we really haven't seen that.
Yeah. What was that
often.
all about? Was that a part of our anchoring we talked about a few weeks ago?
Oh,
You know-
no, it was the other one.
I will have to say that I never liked that strategy and really just never really
And it seems like
understood it. I never
Yeah.
really thought it was a
yeah.
good
If
way
you're
to do
going
it.
to take
Yeah.
the
Strategy.
low one, why would you even ask for the high one?
Exactly.
Right,
So,
right.
You know, so you need to go for the high one, and then if you're forced, you
always
can lower
easier
it.
to go back.
Yeah.
Than ask for more.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We have that all the time in my business. You know, people come in and they go, I can give you $700 or $800. I go, well, if you're asking, I'll take the 8.
Yeah, of course.
right. I mean, if
I'll do it for 9.
Right. You know,
right,
I mean,
right.
it's always that. And then we have the reverse of that, where, if I, which is why I don't like dealing directly with people that are hiring me.
Yep.
I like to have someone in the middle, and I'd rather give them, a cut of it, their percentage, because people, they'll go, oh, we need you for a show on Friday night, corporate, blah, 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 and I'll go, all right, $1,500. They go, okay, and I go, no, I could have said 2.
So you have someone in the middle negotiating for you.
Right, so I'd rather someone go for the 2 and then take 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a hard thing to do when it's you dealing with it personally, because you don't want to overprice yourself,
Right.
But you don't want to underprice yourself either.
Did you ever see the Pawn Shop show?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pawn Stars.
Is it Pawn Stars?
Pawn,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that show.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know what he does? He never throws out the first amount.
Right.
You ever
What do
notice
you
that?
think this is worth?
What do you think it's worth? So
Right.
you always kind of negotiate
I think it's
against
worth
yourself.
$1,525. He's like, oh, the best I can give you is $250.
right. I gotta make a profit on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
A lot of people do say the person that throws out that first number is many times, is at a disadvantage.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
whoever blinks first. in
Right.
Well,
business,
listen,
right?
something's value is only what someone's going to buy it for.
Right,
It doesn't
right.
matter if it's $1 million,
Right,
appraised
Sure.
value of a house. If nobody wants it for $1
Yeah, do you
million,
ever get, right, no, that's a good point. Do you ever get a seller saying, I need to net X amount of dollars?
Oh,
out of
all
this?"
the time.
All the time.
Sure.
But I almost compare it to like the stock market. I mean, when someone says that, you say, you don't get, if you're buying a stock, you're buying what it's worth than what other people are going to be buying it for.
right?
But aren't you buying it at what you hope it's going to be worth in the future?
Well, yes, and let's just say, like, if you wanted to sell your stock, I mean,
Right.
could you, call your broker and say, I want to sell this stock at X,
Right.
and then,
So-
and then automatically the next day,
You can't
have
do
it-
that.
You can't do
You
that
can't do
because
that.
the stock
So-
market
so-
is what it is.
So
So
it's
the real
almost the
estate
same
market,
thing, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, the stock's worth $100,000, but I want $130,000 out of it. That might be down the road,
Right.
But it's not today's value because those buyers aren't, especially in today's, because those buyers are, less. It's less competition. So, so you must get that a lot.
Sure, we do get it. I mean, the real estate market is what it is, and we are all looking at the same comparable homes sold,
right?
And so the data is what it is,
right?
There is, pricing homes there's always a range. It's never, a magic number,
right.
But there is a range that.
What do you see that people get it up to the higher range? So you get a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, similar houses. What puts it over the top for that buyer?
So it could be, and these are the intangibles. It could be if you could have two very similar homes, but if one's on the other side of town, so that location will make the difference. If it's not location and they're side by side.
Now, does someone who's buying it on the internet, do they know that? Have they looked into that? Or are they?
Well, most people these days are savvy, and they are looking
okay.
online and they're checking out. But sometimes they don't know the differences between the neighborhoods. And frankly, sometimes today's buyers may not put as much as an emphasis on location as they did in the past. Sometimes they're just trying to get into a community for the school system, and they don't care what side of the tracks they're on.
So you don't see that as much, right?
It's there, but maybe not as much as it has been in the past. Today's, we don't see kids playing outside anymore as much as
they're
they
all
used
on
to.
their phones.
Exactly. So location still means everything.
Because of the schools.
But is it as important as, is that range as high as it used to be? Maybe not.
Right. Yeah, interesting. So...
But
when you help a seller price their home to sell, you set the expectation. We set
the expectation, but we're also looking at the market. A lot of times what happens is, just like you mentioned, well, my neighbor got 1.2 or whatever the case may be.
But again, that would be your job to bring them back to reality.
Well, yes, because we need to we look at what sold in the past, and that's how an appraiser values property, but the appraisers aren't the ones buying the houses. They're just putting a number to it, right? So we need to look at what's under agreement today and what's actually active on the market right now, because buyers aren't looking at what sold yesterday. They're looking at what are their options today.
Right.
And generally speaking, just like anything else, buyers are going to buy the home with the most compelling value.
You know what buyers should look into, too, is thinking about them selling the house. I don't think a lot of buyers do that.
No, it's so far down the road. They're buying their forever home, right?
Right.
In their eyes at that point.
And so they might buy some unique house that's perfect for them, but, and we've seen it, perfect for them where I think you and I looked at a house with you just for informational purposes, and the master bedrooms are upstairs. There was a couple bedrooms downstairs. So it was just a weird setup.
Yep.
And some buyer coming along might have loved that, but maybe 90% of the population might not love that.
Right. Well, if you have little kids, you're not going to want to be on the first floor while they're on the second floor.
Yeah, so the only ones buying that is maybe a single person. I think that house.
If you have adult children like I have, it doesn't matter where you're at. Right. It's good, actually.
Well, so one of the things that we like to do is when we are getting to know what our client and our buyer wants in a house, one of the questions that we ask all the time is, how long do you foresee yourself staying in this house?
Yeah.
Because for someone that's buying their forever home, what's important to them at that time is totally different from someone that may only be in a house 5 to 7 years.
Right.
If you're in a house 5 to 7 years, resale is very important. Whereas if you're buying your forever home, you can't change the location, so the location becomes location.
Right.
You can maybe change things like layout, but that gets very expensive. So it's location if you're going to buy your forever home.
We had this idea years ago. Movable walls.
Yeah.
And floors.
Yeah. So we could change the room sizes.
Right.
And
I need that room to be 6 inches bigger.
Yeah.
All right. You push a button and the wall goes out.
I like it.
You want the bedrooms on the upside, then you flip it with the kitchen and everything's good.
Just reverse the
Just
floors.
reverse everything.
That,
Everything is simple if you want to put the work into it, Cash.
Roll out pools.
See, I don't like walls. I like big open spaces.
I do too, actually.
I'd like if I could live in a field that had 4 walls on it, that's what I would live in.
Yeah.
You
I don't
want
like
the walls.
If I could get away without walls, I'd like to live in a yurt. You know that. Or a palapa.
That has
in
walls,
Aruba.
though. It has walls.
Yeah, but you could walk right through them if you had it.
Yeah.
All right, study show.
What?
odd numbers seem to look like you're keen in on that amount, but I know brokers never do that.
Like $499.9.
Like $494,900.
Correct. Yeah. So odd numbers show that there's been thought into it.
Yes.
So people think that they're not estimating
Right.
a number.
Right.
Now, when we're selling homes, however, because everything is online, so sometimes we need to take a look at those off numbers because everything is online. When people are doing their search, they're usually looking up to a certain number, whether it's
500,000
in $25,000 increments. So in negotiations, having a specific number really helps a lot. When we're pricing homes, however, sometimes those even numbers give us an advantage for maximum exposure.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You guys aren't just pretty faces. The Ternullo team.
They know.
They're so cute. They're Rick's little kids.
That's right. You guys want stockings at my house for Christmas, don't you?
But let me say this: if you don't know the difference between, if you don't know that $19.99 is $20, you should get screwed. You should get screwed. Absolutely.
That's a
100%.
really good point.
Yes. Wow, it's only $19.99. Geez, if it was $20, I wouldn't go for it. You know, the one that crawls up my butt is the gas, the 9/10 of a penny at the end of a gas.
Yes.
You know, this is it's $2.67 9/10.
But that's psychologically.
Can we ask for change?
Yeah, I want that 1/10 of a penny is mine.
Me
That
too.
1/10 of a penny is mine, and I want it. Damn
But
it!
psychologically,
That's what it is.
It does
right?
work.
Right. It's
It
not
does work.
$2.68. It's $2.67. So now I'm going to drive 4 miles out of my way to get it for $2.66.9.
Although
Right.
I heard this study, or it actually wasn't a study. These people were selling jewelry, and it just wasn't selling. They were selling it for $99. So I think the impression was it was cheap. So they jacked up the price to $175.
To the same piece of
exact
jewelry.
product, and they flew off the shelf.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how often you can do that, but they are saying,
Idiots. The world is full of idiots. Morons.
Morons. You got
I
it.
always think that too.
Except for us.
No.
We're here to straighten things out for people.
exactly.
We're here to help
Every
people.
Tuesday.
Yes,
you know.
Exactly.
Listen, I've said this 1,000 times. I'm only trying to help.
I know.
It doesn't seem it, but I'm only trying to help. Everything
No,
I
it
do.
seeing like you are.
Everything I do is to the betterment of society.
Yeah. It's
When I
very
leave
sincere.
this world, it's going to be a better place.
Right. When you're flying to
Because
the
I'm gone.
moon or
right.
where are we going?
I'm going to Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says it so seriously,
I know.
like it's planned out.
You don't understand how quickly I would go.
I know. He's already explained that to me, and my head's still shaking.
You don't really. My family understands it. My dear sweet wife and my children. I go, look. If someone offers me to go into space, I'm going.
I don't see you in space.
See, the thing is,
I think they have movable walls out in Mars.
Think of the expanse in Mars.
I was going to ask if we could go with him until I realized we weren't coming back.
No,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we're never coming back.
No.
It's not like
It's a one-way
trip.
one-way ticket.
Yeah,
We're
one-way
going to become
ticket.
part of the universe.
If that.
If someone said we're going to put you in a refrigerator box so we could find the bounds of the universe, I'd go.
You would do
I'd
that.
go. I'd have to be bigger than a refrigerator box, but you get my point.
A freezer.
A freezer.
Yeah.
I would have a little claustrophobia.
Yeah.
I
Yes, you would.
found this out.
I would not. I'd
Yeah.
be pacing.
Yeah, no,
you wouldn't be.
You
able to-
wouldn't be able to pace in a refrigerator box.
I know that's my problem.
I found this out, and this was a true fact, that during the space shuttle, when the space shuttle was going up,
Yep,
right?
yep.
That they said that something like 80% of the pilots and the astronauts that went up in the space shuttle were loaded. They were drunk.
Really?
When they got in.
Oh,
Because
really?
you're not flying the thing. You're just sitting in it
Right.
until it gets where it's going.
Right.
And when you boil that down, I can see it. You'd go, well, what do I got to do to be an astronaut? They go, all right, here's what happens.
You got to drink a lot.
Drink a fifth of vodka.
No, that's at the end. They go, here's what you got to do. We're going to get 250,000 gallons of the most flammable stuff we own. And we're going to stick you in something about the size of a Buick. We're going to stick it on the side. And then we're going to light it on fire.
Which, with science that we have not
Right.
perfected
It's
yet,
perfected yet.
you're going to be the first guinea
And then
pig.
you're going to travel through the atmosphere there at escape velocity, roughly 7 miles a second, until you float around in the void of nothingness with people who don't speak your own language.
Yeah.
Do you want to go? And you go, can I have a couple drinks before I go? And they go, sure. You go, sign me up.
Oh, boy. The way,
but
I guess I wouldn't have said yes to that.
You would do that.
In a heartbeat.
Would you go?
No,
I wouldn't go.
I would not go.
Yeah.
My friends
You don't
and
have
family would
the
miss me.
pioneer spirit.
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Look, my family misses me now. I'm emotionally unavailable. I'll just be physically unavailable.
You're
I don't
detached.
know. Maybe I'll miss them.
Should we end this Christmas segment on
Are you going
Tony?
to sing?
Oh, I could.
Sure.
We're really in this segment.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I think we should end it on that.
You think?
Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
think? What
Any
do you
last thoughts, John? That was very informative.
No,
by the
that's
way.
Well,
good.
didn't get to pick John's brain on psychology.
Well, pick it. We got a few minutes.
No,
think?
we'll have him
Loss
back.
aversion.
Last
I
version,
love
yes.
that one. People would rather not lose at something than gain.
Then gain.
That was your example.
Yeah, that was your.
That's
Yeah.
your example.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Isn't that
Exactly.
funny?
And I go back to my original statement. Idiots.
Morons.
Morons.
Well, with that,
Yeah.
With that,
Happy holidays, everybody.
I hope you guys learned a lot from our podcast today.
thanks for joining us on the Real Estate House Party. Tony V, Comedian of the Year. Kenny
Yay.
Holtshouser, Paralegal of the Year.
And I'll be watching
You
you.
gonna-
and-
yeah.
yeah.
You're going. John Ternullo, Broker of the Year.
Whoa.
There we go.
And Rick
Rick
Carter,
Carter,
Attorney of the Year.
Stressed out person of the year.
Yeah,
So
let's go.
Merry
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.